This is EntreEd Talk, the podcast for entrepreneurial educators by entrepreneurial educators. We are your hosts, Toi Hirschman and
Amber Ravenscroft. This podcast is created by the National Consortium for Entrepreneurship Education, or EntreEd for short.
Welcome back to another episode of EntreEd Talk. We are so excited, and you will all be excited as well, to hear from an amazing school in Mobile, Alabama, Mary B. Austin Elementary School. We have with us today Melissa Whigham, who's the principal of this school, Fay Dawson, who teaches second grade, Jenny Fischer, who is a math and STEAM coach, and Crystal Galloway, who does the Gifted and Talented program. Welcome, ladies. We are so excited to hear from you and cannot wait to dive into this conversation.
Thank you for having us today. We're excited. Good morning.
This is great. Good morning. Yes, for our audience, we are recording in the morning. And so let's just get started. We'll dive right in and tell us a little bit about your school and the students you serve, demographics, the size of the school, those location, that kind of thing.
Right. We have about 568 students here, and we serve students from low socioeconomic to high socioeconomic. We're very diverse. We serve those different types of students, and so some come from doctors, some may live in hotels, so we're just very diverse, and we just have high expectations of all of our students. We're in a community neighborhood. We have about half the students that live in the community that they attend Mary B. Austin, and then the other half are people who have sought out our school and they're here on a transfer. So, and they want their students to be exposed to this type of learning with project-based learning and the entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah, this is, we're excited because we often tout Mary B. Austin as one of our exemplar schools. Every time we talk about the America's Entrepreneurial Schools Initiative, we uplift Mary B. Austin. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the project-based learning and the entrepreneurship programming that you just touched on and how it's kind of taken over the culture of your school.
Okay. We have set it up to where they are able to meet in the communication lab and the emerging tech lab. They also work with the teachers to create their project-based learnings that they do either for the quarter or for the semester based on the needs of the students in that grade level. And so they really work hard to tie in all the standards, cross-curricular, to make sure that we're meeting the demands of the state and meeting the demands of the local district. And so they have time for planning to work on those project-based learning. And then I'm going to turn it over to our teachers that they can talk about the types of projects that they do in each grade level. Ms. Dawson, you want to speak about second grade?
Yeah, so it's really neat. Historically, we had in the past kind of done one PBL, as we shortened it to call it, project-based learning project. We would do one PBL per quarter. And this year we are doing it more one PBL per semester. And we think that's really giving our students a better opportunity to just really dig deeper and, take that standard, take that idea, take that concept and really run with it for an entire semester. Because like Ms. Whigham said, they are, visiting the communication lab. They're visiting the emerging tech lab. They're getting, pulled out to do all these other amazing things. So, for each grade level, when the students and the teachers decide on what that project is, we can carry it for a full semester and, go cross-curricular with it and, really get to carry it for a whole semester and see it from start to finish. And then like Ms. Fischer, who's our STEAM teacher, she can come and pull in and, do some other great lessons with us as well.
Can I interject real quick before we go into the next one? Can you talk a little bit about the communications and emerging tech labs and what are in those labs? Just for our listeners, I think it would be really helpful because that seems like something that the students have access to often.
Sure. In the emerging tech lab, we have various technologies. We have a 3D printer, robots, dash and dot, B-bots for the younger grades. We also have Bloxels, which is a gaming where they actually create the game, a video game, and then, am I missing anything? I know I am. So they kind of work, we've worked out a pacing for the students, and it begins with kindergarten with the B-bots, First grade is coding with maybe more VBots and other robotics. And then second is 3D printing. And then it goes again. Third grade is robotics. Fourth grade is coding. And then fifth grade is 3D printing. And it really goes well with the PBLs and the entrepreneurship because they're able to, I'll just give you an example. We have Shark Tank in fifth grade. Yeah. And so they work on creating a product or some sort of solution to a problem in our community of trash, getting the trash out, an environmental problem. And then they create a business and they can 3D print, design and 3D print the logo or maybe even a model of product. And then in our communication lab, which I haven't gotten to yet, but in the communication lab, it's about communicating. So they do blogging, they do PowerPoints, advertisements, whether it be a comic advertisement or a poster or on the iPad, or they even do commercials. Did I leave anything out of that? Videos. So in the communication lab, the fifth graders were able to make commercials where they had an advertisement. And then in the STEAM lab, we worked on their advertisement and making sure that all components were there. They talked about science, they had the math aspect because what it costs, what the product was going to cost. So all of that was together.
And to kind of build on what Ms. Fischer just said, like about how it starts in kindergarten and they're learning something new with each grade, you know, like even with kindergarten, using the VBots and how to move them, like even in me teaching second grade, like I have VBots in my classroom and we use those sometimes in centers. So it really just scaffolds, you know, as they're moving up in grades. So that's something that they've learned in kindergarten and they already know how to do. And so even if they are going to the labs and they're learning how to use the 3D printer, they can still come back to the classroom and still do something that they already know how to do in my classroom, be it unrelated to something that they're doing in the labs.
Right, because like right now, our kindergarten students are doing a project all about me. And so the tech labs are working with the teachers to help create videos for each individual child that they can do their report. And so that's also communication, getting up in front of the camera and speaking and going ahead and starting those skills very early. And then the tech lab teachers also work with the teachers so that those skills, if they learn it in first grade, that they can actually implement that skill independently in a center, for example, in second grade. So we're trying to scaffold that learning and to make sure that they don't just learn it one time, that it continues throughout their whole entire time that they're with us here at Mary B. Austin.
That is so cool.
That's perfect. I bet every parent appreciates that project so much.
They love it.
It's like video. That would be so cool.
As an FYI, I did that, but it was in my undergrad. It was a little later in my life.
What amazing exposure that they have, because not only are they learning some of these skills, but they're learning not to be afraid of it.
That's right.
It's so incredible. And it kind of, you touched on this a little bit, but we love elementary schools because with EntreEd, we think that that's where it needs to start. That's like what you guys are doing. That's where it needs to begin and grow from there. But a lot of times when we go into elementary schools for the first time, we kind of get this death stare. Like, what do you mean entrepreneurship? That's for high school, that's not for us. And it's not for me because I teach, math, or I teach ELA. So I'm going to kind of cover two of the questions that we wanted to with this one question. So one of the biggest obstacles that we have is getting teachers comfortable with the idea of, yes, this can be as early as elementary school, and it can also be in every single subject across the board. So can you talk about how you've set up that culture in your school to address those things?
Well, I'll just be honest, when I got here in January, that culture was in place. And so we're going to continue that culture because when I got here, I bought into it and I saw the good things from it. For the kids working together to collaborate together in the workforce today, that's one of the biggest factors, is children have to be able to work together. And so the biggest obstacle as the principal would be finding the time to give the teachers an opportunity for the planning, because it's a lot of in-depth planning that goes involved with that. So that's one of the obstacles. And then facing the state and local demands of what they have to accomplish by meeting those standards. So from my point of view, to keep that is to support the teachers and to make sure that they know that I believe in that, and that I feel that giving these children these long-lasting skills that go just beyond reading and math, I think it's important and very important in the days ahead. And so they can touch on it.
Yeah, I'll interject. So prior to Ms. Whigham coming, so there was a foundation that was built here at Mary B. Austin. First thing was, it's the Talents Unlimited model, and it's essentially laying this foundation with our students where they think productively, but they also think critically and creatively. We start that in kindergarten, and it continues to build throughout fifth grade. It helps them make decisions. It talks about how to make a plan and carry it out, how to use communication skills. So that was one part of the foundation. The second thing is we use the 4 C's, and that's in just everything that we do here at Austin. So the 4 C's are communication, creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration. So having that framework and that foundation, it's easy to then pull in the skills of entrepreneurship. And so it's essentially exposing our kids to the verbiage and the lingo and providing them opportunities to be critical and creative thinkers. You know, it's not necessarily starting a business and seeing that to fruition and making a global impact. It's, like you said earlier, helping them to be comfortable taking a risk and exploring an idea. So that's kind of our thing here at Austin, is we want to be Austin innovators, but we're thinking innovatively, you know, and it's like, how many things can you interconnect and intertwine and overlap? And then that's coming out where we are today.
I love that. That's so
There's
great.
Our soundbite.
Yep. What was the model that you? What was the name of the model that you said?
Sure. It's the Talents Unlimited model. It's a thinking model. It actually started here in Mobile, but it's actually an international program. It started in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's something, it's like a business model you could even use in the workplace. There's 5 components: productive thinking, communication, forecasting, which is, you know, cause and effect, planning, and decision making. Life skills.
Which are also part of the engineering.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we do a lot with that's amazing. I'm gonna be looking that up, and it's gonna be a paper at some point, I guess. Glad that you said that. What you said about the entrepreneurship piece too, because we try to stress more of the entrepreneurial mindset, which is a little bit different than what traditionally people think about it. Like we don't expect our schools that are America's entrepreneurial schools to be starting a million businesses and every kid has to have a product and sell it in the marketplace. If you do that, that's fine. And like if that's one of the projects, but we more want to stress what you guys are talking about, those mindsets, that creativity, the collaboration, the communication, all of those things that set them up for success no matter what they do later. So that's awesome. That's perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
Can you talk a little bit about the teachers? Because Mrs. Whigham, I know you're newer. Were any of you here before this culture kind of took root? And what was that transition like for maybe some of the teachers that have been working on really traditional curriculum focuses? So does anybody want to speak to that in that transition?
It's only the only one.
Good.
And I'm trying to think, I mean, before I remember when this started. It started with our water well activity, and it became a school-wide project. And what we did, it was actually one of our 5th grade students who thought of it. At her church, they found out that, they learned about a country in Africa that needed funding, a village for a water well. And so she had the great idea, why don't we raise some money for that? What can we do? And so each grade level did something different to raise money or even raise awareness. It wasn't just about raising money. It was could have been about awareness. And that's when we realized that the talents activities that we do really led into that. I mean, we were already doing it, didn't even realize it. It was just a way to get the kids thinking and to come up with a plan and a design. So I remember I was teaching 3rd grade at the time, and we ended up making bracelets, just friendship bracelets. But then they were like, oh, we can make bracelets out of T-shirts. So some of them made bracelets out of T-shirts. And so that was getting, each little group came up with a different way to make a bracelet. And then we had the advertising and things like that. But we were able to raise enough money for that village to get a water well. And so that was just every student in this school took part in that, and it was just amazing. And that's kind of, I think, how that began. Were you here? I was during that? Okay. So that was the beginning, and then the next year we were kind of like, well, what can we do this year? And so it just began that way.
I'm obsessed that it started with a 5th grade student's idea. That's cool. That's so cool.
Yes.
And then you see the passion and the engagement of the students, and then it just goes from there. That's awesome.
And it just continues, because like we had a 5th grade student at the beginning of the year, and she's working with her 5th grade teachers, wanted to raise money for St. Jude's. And so she wanted to come up with a plan. She sent me, wrote me a note and put it in my box. And so you can definitely tell that the kids have caught on to this idea of wanting to help others. And to me, that's amazing. And right now we need a new building. So our 5th grade team, their project is, what resources do we need to get a building built? How big can the building be? And so they're looking into that project, and hopefully they'll be able to present it to the county if they come up with a great proposal. So they're really tackling a real world problem, and it's also a Mary B. Austin problem. So that's what I love about the kids, is that you can tell that they have caught on to this idea.
Oh, that just gave me like goosebumps that the kids did, and the fact that you started with, we talked to a lot of schools about just start with one thing, just get one idea, that's it, and then see what happens. And that's exactly what happened. We got, they caught on, they loved it, they had great success with it, and it just grew from there. So can you kind of elaborate on that? What kinds of outcomes are you seeing from your students as a result of this culture? I mean, because I can tell you what the opposite of it looks like. So what kinds of outcomes?
One of the things I see is empathy and want to help other people. To me, that's the most amazing thing, is that it really is a place to where people try to be kind, and they try to come up with solutions. And you see kids all the time. We do this thing. It even goes back to be your best selfie, and they're always wanting to help other people. So to me, that's one of the biggest things, is just helping each other. And I don't think without the collaboration and communication piece of that the children would even catch on to that. I know the teachers would like to elaborate on some things that they see as well.
Well, I think too, even like along with teaching empathy and just outside of academic pieces and going back to just real world, real life skills, the students are really taking pride in what they're doing and taking ownership of it, because a lot of times the ideas that we're coming up with are their own ideas. We're not telling them what to do. We're just facilitating what they wanted to do. So it was their idea, their plan. They solved it. They figured out what they needed. And, even as young as 2nd grade, 1st grade, kindergarten, you really see an ownership piece to it. And, when they see it, see the finished product, they really are very proud of what they've done.
Last year, and then it's continued into this year, Ms. Dawson and I worked with, we had electives at our school. So kind of small group of kids, multiple grade levels. And she and I had the privilege of working with the entrepreneurship clubs. And so in our clubs, some of our older students, they observed some of our special needs students. We had some autistic children last year that you could hear in the hallways from time to time. And so that sparked some thinking in our students. And then they noticed some kids that were behaving in a negative way towards those students. And so then they came to us and they're like, what can we do? So then we were able to take the ideas of entrepreneurship and get into the ideas of social entrepreneurship. And so then that level of empathy it just went a whole different direction. And so the kids sought out this campaign of, well, we need to educate people about students with special needs and autism and different behaviors. And then they took that and actually pushed it into the community and partnered with Goodwill Easter Seals. Mm-hmm. They sold, they made, through their research with students with autism, they looked at sensory issues and created these little fuzzy pencil toppers that they sold to the student body to raise money, all while building in an awareness here at our school. And so, you know, that's where like everything is interconnected. And that's what we're trying to do here is not only are we teaching reading and math and science, but these skills are lifelong skills that interrelate to everything. And so as small as noises in the hallway, the kids are becoming observers and they're looking for opportunities to use these skills.
Oh,
I can just see Toi like tearing up.
Can I be a transfer student? Can my kids come? How far is that drive from Maryland to Moblie?
It's doable. It's a small commute.
We just need to leave really early.
I have a question because you hinted on this and you've mentioned a couple of your hashtags. And I know I mentioned earlier that I follow your Twitter. It seems like every teacher has a different Twitter and that you really create a sense of brand for Mary B. Austin in your community, like with Austin Innovators and your like the B, you have a play on B for many hashtags. So can you talk a little bit about how you created kind of that brand for the school and how that's outreached into the community as well? I feel like you have a lot of community involvement.
One of the things that I think we pride ourselves on is having that our brand noticeable across the county, across the state. You know, we obviously are getting some attention from national organizations. We really try to highlight all of the good things that are happening and put it out there on social media. We make a point to let our parents know, you know, that we do like to take pictures. We do like to post pictures. We try to get all of the teachers on board. Like, hey, if there's something great happening, if you can't grab the picture, you know, get one of us in there and we'll come take a picture of it and put that out there. If we catch a student doing a great thing, if we catch them being kind, we try to highlight that. They really want to see themselves either highlighted on the announcements or posted somewhere. And so I think we've really gotten a lot of people on board with putting that out there. And we've over the years gotten a lot of followers on our Twitter page and on our Facebook page. And we get lots of great positive comments from all of that, lots of retweets happening. So, you know, I think we've just done a really good job of branding ourselves and putting ourselves out there.
And I think
everybody wants that be your best selfie because it goes on the morning buzz. So if they get caught being good, they know that everybody's going to see them in the morning on the morning buzz. And they're like, we were on TV. So it's really caught on. The kids love that.
I think it's a really good, I mean, it's a management system in itself because the students know that if they're on their best behavior, if they're giving their best ideas, they'll be showcased. And then the idea of student showcasing is such a best practice in terms of just engagement. So I think, I mean, you all do an incredible job of the school brand. And I just really want to applaud that because we uplift it often. So.
Thank you.
So we are kind of coming to the end of the podcast window. We try to keep it around a half an hour commutable time. And then when we ask these last questions, we end up getting another 10 minutes. So that's what happens. But I wanted to ask, in each one of you, I'd like for you to respond to this. What advice might you give to another educator and kind of speak to it from as a principal, Melissa, talk like to another principal, a teacher to teacher, that kind of thing. What advice might you give if someone's just kind of starting out and is hearing about your school or other schools that are doing some really, really innovative things and wants to get started and doesn't know what to do?
Well, in my opinion, we just live in a totally different time frame from 20 years ago. And so we just want to make sure that these kids are successful. And we want to make sure that they have all the tools and resources that they need once they, get through high school and they can choose the path that they would like to choose. And so we want to make sure that we're building that foundation at an early level in elementary and just making sure they have those tools in their basket. Because it is definitely a hard world out there. And so we want them to be able to collaborate with other people, communicate, and when they've got certain situations, we want them to be able to apply the critical thinking ideas and things that they've learned at this level and be able to carry it on to the next level with them. So, and also for a principal, I think they would have to believe in their teachers and to believe that they're making the best decisions for their students. And then also, I think working together as a team. I think that's very, very important. And we're doing that this year by breaking it down into smaller groups for planning and reading and math and science and social studies, and just looking at different ways that we can meet the needs of the kids through different avenues. And so I just think breaking it down in smaller groups, even at the school level, and creating experts within your school and building on each other's strengths. And I think that's what Mary B. Austin has done very well. And we're going to continue that, is building on people's strengths, because everybody's got a weakness. But if we use everybody's strengths together, this is a powerhouse. So
I love that. Empowered teachers equals empowered kids. So
that's right.
When I first started teaching, it's funny because I look back and everything about education today is so different from when I was in school and the way that I was taught. I don't want to use the word traditional, but I feel like in a way we are a lot more untraditional, just in the way that we do things, because like Ms. Whigham said, we, do allow our students, all of these opportunities to collaborate and think critically and communicate and work together. And I think that goes across our entire school. And, as far as bringing in, the entrepreneurial mindset, when I first started having my Young Entrepreneurs Club, 4 years ago, I was like, I don't even know how to spell the word entrepreneur. But, I think it's great to bring in experts. I was always calling people that I knew, entrepreneurs, asking them to come and speak to my club, to share their ideas, collaborating with Ms. Galloway on the projects that we've done with students. I think you have a wealth of knowledge within your school, with, working with your fellow teachers. And, never be afraid to ask for help or ask questions, because if you never ask, the answer is always no.
Okay, my
Awesome.
piece of advice would be to start small, one step at a time. And that's kind of what we did that year. And then the next year, we just continued it, added some more pieces onto it. It can be very overwhelming when you're planning, especially if it's your first time planning a project or an entrepreneurial activity. So, and seeking help from others who have done it. We would love to answer any questions, or for other teachers to reach out to us and share ideas. I think that's a big part, is learning from each other.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. The start small thing, we do that. That's Toi and I are like, just one thing, just do one thing, year one,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
then grow. So thank you for uplifting that one.
I can go next. I would say it starts with your own mindset. And so you have to be willing to challenge the status quo. Mm-hmm. It's very easy in a school setting to not want to cause any ripples or ruffles. And again, the population I work with, the Gifted and Talented program, we're just natural rule breakers. You have that idea, or you have, you want to try it. You may have to be the weird kid on the block for a little bit of time.
That's right.
Like you've got to have that inside, that grit inside of yourself to say, yes, I'm going to challenge not only my students, but maybe my coworkers as well. And then excitement is contagious, and your excitement and the excitement your kids will have, it will spill into the hallways and it will influence other people. So you've got to go in there ready to fight. challenge.
Yes, it's been a challenge for me to always put myself on the TV or Twitter, so I've had to step out of my comfort zone because I'm not one of those. So I've definitely, as a leader, had to do that. So it's challenging for everybody, but in the end of it, it's what's best for kids.
That's right.
Oh, it's so perfect. So perfect.
Well, and I get the tough job of going last and having to follow every one of their
I know.
And it's like ditto. I could agree with everything that they're saying. Just speaking from my point of view, one of the biggest things that I had to do for myself was be okay with the chaos that was happening around me. And I taught first grade for 20 years, and letting first graders kind of collaborate and work together, it's not quiet. It's definitely not neat. It's, you have to be okay with that. And you have to really, on the teacher's part of it, you just kind of have to walk around and make sure, okay, if they're going crazy, but they're on topic, I'm okay with that. If they're working at a solution and they're excited and they're jumping up and down, as long as you have their excitement, it drives the lesson. And so that's something that whoever's taking on this challenge really has to be okay with. They have to be okay with letting go of control and letting the kids take over.
Mm-hmm. Student engagement is not those neat little rows.
No.
Oh, say that again, Melissa. Say it really loud.
Student engagement is not neat little rows.
Oh, you don't even know what, well, you do know, because how many schools, and like you said, we're doing it too. We're starting small. We're like, okay, one school at a time, because that's the only way to do this, that have this mindset that you can't have any of the chaos or anything like that in your classroom is just, I think it's just criminal. And I've been in schools where teachers have like a thing that they wear on their neck, like a necklace, and they turn it and you can't talk. If what kind of weird, right? Like, that's crazy. Even
as we're having this, we have a corn roast today, so that's going on outside.
Oh.
So the teachers have to be flexible as well. We have lots of things going on each and every day.
Oh,
that's amazing. We don't even need to have the whole, they just listen to the 5 minutes at the end. Honestly. But we are so appreciative. And as I said, we uplift Mary B. Austin all the time. We're just so proud of the work that you all are doing and the impact that you have on your students. So we're really thrilled to be interviewing you. But we talked about this, but how can people touch base with you? You already kind of offered to serve as mentors in this space. So how might people get in touch with your team?
We have our Twitter page, which is at Mary B. Austin. They can follow us. And then usually I try to retweet all of the other teachers so they can just find all the teachers on the Mary B. Austin page, because each one of these ladies, they have their own Twitter account. We also have a Facebook account that we post pictures weekly of what we're doing, so they can find us on Facebook as well. Perfect. And then they can find us on the Mobile County website and find our school on there, on Austin. It's listed as Austin Elementary.
Great. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for having us today. We
awesome.
enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been awesome. And just the spirit of collaboration is clearly present in your school when you have 5 people on our interview.
Well, it takes a team to get this done. And so I definitely cannot do this by myself.
Well, we're so appreciative, and we will definitely be in touch, and we just will continue to uplift your school, because we think that you're really an example for all the other schools that say, we're not sure where to start. Just look at your school and that as that example. So thank you very much.